Alright, and we're live. I spilled water on myself. Oh well. Welcome back. Here I go. We're reacting to Jimmy Talks. That's right. That's right. Here we
Back
go.
to Jimmy Talks. So this Tucker Carlson interview with Mike Huckabee is just so revealing. You know, Tucker Carlson, you don't need to watch the whole interview. It's like 2.5 hours long. Maybe you want to split it up in between multiple drives to work or something, that's fine. But I think you should watch the beginning. It's like 15 or 20 minutes. He explains the backstory behind this interview. I'll sum it up real quick, right? Tucker Carlson believed he was simply just taking a flight to Israel for a quick interview with Mike Huckabee. If you don't know who that is, he is the ambassador for the United States to Israel. So he lands at Ben Gurion Airport, and he expected the standard treatment. He just went in that interview. He's a pretty high-profile guy. You know, I'm just here for an interview. He wasn't expecting anything fancy or anything bad either. So he does not even make it through normal customs like you do on an international flight. Instead, he sits down right there in the airport with Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee, like I said, he's the ambassador, but he's kind of a powerful figure. And he's also a former governor. He used to be the governor of Arkansas. So this guy's been a politician for a little bit. He knows the game. He's a part of the GOP for a very long time. He is a top Shabbos goy. We're just going to put it like that. But anyways, Tucker and him, they had their whole entire interview right there. And then once the interview ended, basically the IDF, Tucker calls them thugs. They go and accost them, basically. They detained Tucker, and they kept their passports and all his staff, and there was not a polite warning. This wasn't what you do to high-profile figures of the U.S. government. You know, Tucker's a Fed at the end of the day, so you obviously you shouldn't be trusting Fed boys, but it's still pretty weird treatment. You know, they pulled him aside and all of his crew, and they questioned.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't lying. Tucker a Fed, sort of, but not exactly. Like, I don't really think he's an intelligence asset. I could be wrong. His father was a high-ranking CIA official, right? He was like the head of the Department of Propaganda or some shit. It was crazy. Anyway, Tucker himself, though, probably not an asset to the CIA.
They questioned him very aggressively. Again, this is out of the ordinary. This was not a routine check by any stretch at all whatsoever. They interrogated him like he was an enemy of the state. And after that interrogation was over, they told him to...
Benjamin Netanyahu called him a Nazi like 2 seconds ago. Yeah. Now, do I trust Benjamin Netanyahu's judgment when it comes to like who's a Nazi and who isn't? Hell no. Okay, but like by that line of logic, right? Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm surprised they didn't like execute him. like they said he's a Nazi, bro. It's Israel. Like, isn't that like what's supposed to happen? Like, isn't that what they
basically
do?
Like, get out of here. Go back to America. So they didn't even let him in. You think he wanted to stay for like a week or something. They told him no. He was there for 3 or 4 hours and then he left. And they didn't really explain why for treating him. Again, Tucker Carlson, a very popular American journalist. Everybody knows him. He's been doing this shit for a long time. They just tell him to leave. So you have to ask yourself why this even happened. Tucker has a massive audience that reaches tens of millions of people. Like I said, he's a Fed. He has well-documented connections to the intelligence circles and all those agencies and stuff. He's a glow boy, you know. But Tucker has been speaking critically about Israel over the past few months.
Maybe he knows something I don't know about. Hey, that's my bad. I mean, well, I say that he does like get all these interviews with high-profile, like world leaders, like Putin. Yeah, okay, actually, I am kind of a dumbass. Yeah, he is definitely an intelligence asset.
So in Israel, the government there, they refuse to tolerate questions like that, especially from someone with his level of influence. Israel wants to maintain absolute control over the narrative. And of course, in their own country, they do that, but they even do it in our country. Outside criticism to Israel is a massive threat to them. This is especially true when that criticism comes from someone who is a mainstream conservative. This guy has a lot of people who watch him. Everybody knows who he is. If he is going to criticize Israel, that is not good for them. It's one thing for a dissident like myself or anybody else who's criticizing Israel. They can just write you off as crazy and like people will believe it. Tucker Carlson, he's earned a lot of people's trust, whether he's a Fed or not. So yeah, I mean, also Tucker, he is an intelligent guy. He knows how to frame arguments. He knows how to debate people. Like I said, he's been doing this shit for a long time. So he specifically pointed out that Israel and the Zionists, that they act in a way that is not in accordance with the U.S. government.
He knows how to speak in between the lines, okay? He knows how to say it without saying it, you know what I'm saying?
It's not really a one-sided... it is a one-sided thing. It's not an ally. It's very, very one-sided. He avoids naming, though, calling them Jews outright. He won't name
that's what I was just saying.
Deeper ethnic components outright. Because, like I said, he's intelligent. He wants to stay on TV and YouTube and all that stuff. But anyone that's paying attention knows exactly why. This entire situation revolves around an unshakable hold that Israel has on political power in the United States and most Western countries. Israel gives the commands out, and if you criticize them, they will demand total silence and debanking and deplatforming anyone who criticizes them, even if you come from an allied nation. I use the term ally very loosely here. So let's take a closer look at Tucker Carlson and the background of his career, so we can understand, he went from a mainstream GOP guy to, he still kind of is, but he's criticizing Israel, which was very much so frowned upon for a very long time. We need to look at what happened. Why is this happening and all that? He spent a very long time working at Fox News, and Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch. He has total control over that. Fox is humongous.
Keep in mind, when they talk about debanking, they're talking about like fucking Nick Fuentes not being able to use Visa or MasterCard on his website. Okay, which he does now. Why is that? You know what? Never mind.
Murdoch is an incredibly dedicated supporter, to put it very lightly, of Israel. If you wanted to put this in a way that YouTube may not like it, which is what I'm going to do, he is a Zionist, he is a Shabbos Goy. So, under Murdoch at Fox News, like Tucker worked for him, Tucker, he was kind of confined to certain topics, like a lot of stuff about the culture war, the beer cans, like Bud Light, and girls shouldn't use the boys' bathroom, and like stuff that kind of matters, but ultimately, it's not the root cause of the problems. So, he can and he did talk about the border and fighting the woke culture and protecting family values. That's all, don't get me wrong, like I said, that's important, but he never touched the root cause. Why do you think that is? Because his boss was a Zionist. He was rarely allowed to touch up on anything like that. He never criticized the endless foreign aid to Israel or the overseas wars for Israel. Now he is, but he wasn't allowed to do that for a very long time. So now that he doesn't work for Fox, I don't know if he quit or if he got fired or what have you, that all changed immediately. I don't know if this was a awakening or he just kind of knew all of this the whole time. I'm going to assume he knew this the whole entire time. Tucker's not a dumb guy, right? Now he's an independent creator, I guess you could say, a content creator. Now he is talking about this a lot more openly. So he immediately started calling out the Iraq invasion in 2003. It's like that was a war for Israel. He openly states that it was a war just to be fought for the benefit of Israel. American troops bled out in the desert to secure a foreign country in the Middle East. That is what happened. That is the truth, and that is what he is saying. I also think that as well. The entire conflict was built on lies and fabrications. 9/11 was the pretext, and then weapons of mass destruction was another pretext to go in. And he calls out that these politicians created these false pretenses about connections to 9/11 and all the attacks that happened. They lied about Saddam Hussein and all these weapons of mass destruction that they said he had and they never found. Nobody with common sense buys those stupid stories anymore. These official narratives surrounding the Iraq war, they have fallen apart completely now that it's all over and done with. The public recognizes it as fiction nowadays. The average American does. It's crazy just how much we've advanced when it comes to the question, if you catch my drift. The average American trusts absolutely nothing that the establishment says anymore about foreign policy. Everybody is waking up to this stuff. And now, still staying on the topic of foreign wars, the war in Afghanistan followed the exact same deceptive sort of playbook in lies and outright treachery and deception. The American government threw trillions of dollars into a pit. Think of a car that you have to just keep repairing because everything just breaks on it. It's a money pit. That's what Afghanistan was. It's something else is going to break. You just can't throw money at it anymore. You just got to stop fixing the damn car. Thousands of American lives were lost for absolutely nothing of value to us. But the media told everybody that we were bringing democracy to the Middle East. These people were being subjugated and they needed democracy. Well, guess what? Here's the thing. That is just how they are. They don't do democracy. They don't do Western liberalism. They don't do all of that stuff. But the reason that they told you we're there to give them democracy, that was just a complete lie that was meant to pacify people and to make them not question things. Because we are told that liberal democracy is the best thing ever to exist.
Yeah, it was just for the oil, bruh. That's it, yeah. Of course they lied. Why the fuck would they want to do liberal democracy? Because it's working out so well over here.
And sliced bread.
Over on our
whole lives
side.
Here in the West. What was the real goal of Afghanistan then? Well, the real goal was getting regional stability for the benefit of Israel. We see the very same patterns happening right now with Iran, and we're about to go to war with them. This stuff with the bombings and last year with I think it was Operation Midnight Hammer, that didn't just end there. We didn't just strike them once. It's not over yet. Trump is in office. He is the top Shabbos Goy. He's gotten so much money from them. He has to uphold his end of the bargain. He knows everybody's going to hate him for it, but he sold out. Our military is constantly bombing Iran and its proxies, more so its proxies in the Middle East. We are deliberately starting up a conflict, and honestly, we're risking global escalation. They have the Strait of Hormuz. That's very critical for the world's oil. Also, all the minerals and all the stuff that we would need, just precious metals that we need to make weapons, all the insane cost of war. The war is extremely expensive. If you don't believe me, go look up how much these wars cost in the past. Vietnam, World War II, compared to American dollars today, to today's dollars. It's insane. We can't sustain that level of debt. We do not engage in these strikes in Iran or going to war with them to protect the interests of the American people. We do it strictly because we are designated as the enforcer.
War is profit. There are people making money. We don't make money from it. Okay, that doesn't mean that there's no money to be made from war. By the way, I am not advocating for war. I'm not saying it's like no, it's actually a good thing. Like no, it at our expense, the rich people make all the money from the war. That's every war. Ever. Okay, certainly since 1947.
Enforcer by Israel. We are the attack dog. They say sick 'em, we
Thank
say
you,
who.
CIA.
Tucker sees all of this, and he is calling it out, and he has way more viewers than I do. He refuses to hold back on this. He complained. He's like, people are calling me a Nazi. They're doing this and that about me. His ability, or transformation, one could even say, it just perfectly shows how this control system actually works. The people who were called schizophrenic in the past for saying that we are not really a sovereign nation anymore because Desert New Jersey controls America are feeling pretty vindicated right now. We have the wealthy media owners like Rupert Murdoch, who is a staunch Zionist, as I said. They keep their commentators on a very short leash. You won't go there and see them criticizing Israel on Fox. And that still has boomers in a chokehold, and they still are a massive voter bloc. The moment you step off of the approved reservation of all of the media and culture we have, you will face severe consequences. You will get attacked and you will get destroyed, even if you have powerful friends in Washington, D.C., like Tucker Carlson has. They still attack him. So this situation with Tucker is just a massive turning point for, I would say, the right wing and a little bit of everybody at the same time. Everyday people are finally waking up to this coma that they've been in. The old conservative talking point that Israel is our greatest ally is crumbling apart extremely fast. It is genuinely shocking when we look at the political landscape, and it's just, this has been happening in a couple years. This narrative that they've had for such a long time, it falls entirely apart once anyone applies any scrutiny to the facts that's presented before them when you counter argument that Israel is our greatest ally. I would say no, and here's why. And then you're like, oh shit, actually, you're so right. The people are starting to ask real questions that are difficult about where our money goes. They want to know why we send billions of dollars in foreign aid to Israel every single year. It's not necessarily that it's foreign aid, it's the numbers is what makes a difference. We send them more money than anybody else ever by a large,
it's for the
large
intelligence,
margin.
bro.
We just send them pallets.
It's for the
money.
intelligence.
We give them advanced weapon systems, and we give them the top tech military, tip of the spear military hardware. We do all this while our own national infrastructure, like the electrical grid, which I made a video on, collapses, and our schools are completely failing our children, and we have crackheads roaming the streets and gangs in Chicago, and our money's worthless, and our border, we haven't even deported all these people yet. But no politician ever provides a logical answer to these questions.
One of these things is not like the other.
Why did we invade Afghanistan? Why did we even do this in the first place? If you ask the average person, they probably still don't even know. The answer should be cut and dry. At least for Japan in World War II. So why did we go to war with Japan? Well, they bombed Pearl Harbor. That's your straightforward answer. I know that there's some stuff about that people say was planned before. Honestly, I'll look into that more. I don't really know if that's true or not. But that's besides the point. The answer is what I mean. It's cut and dry, you know? These politicians, they will pivot.
Well, yeah, Pearl Harbor didn't happen in a vacuum, bro.
With Iran. Can anybody here tell me, without obviously, we know it's a Jew war for Israel. Can anyone tell me why we need to go to war with Iran? There is no actual reason. That is the only reason. It's for Israel. The politicians, they only just ignore you. We have these videos of people going up to these politicians at the White House, and maybe not at the White House, but like Congress and Senate in these buildings. They catch them in public, and they're like, hey, why are we going to war with Iran? Do you support America or Israel?
It's not. It isn't for Israel. They are not going to benefit from this war in the way that you think the country itself, the way you think it will. Okay, no, like the people, the Israelis, they aren't going to benefit from this war. They aren't going to get anything out of it, other than maybe bombed by Iran or one of its allies. That's what's going to happen. Okay, they're not going to benefit from it. The people, and I know you already know, we aren't going to benefit from it either. The people who are going to benefit from it are the rich people and the politicians that they are paying to make all of this happen. That's it.
It's real. And they just won't answer you. They give you the silent treatment. Or there's an aggressive PR bullshit thing that they say. It is genuinely shocking. They refuse to explain why they aggressively back Israel under any circumstance. Both sides of the aisle do this. They send endless funding, even though Gaza is completely destroyed. The whole place is flat. They simply cannot give the American an honest reply. People are seeing this. So, this realization has caused a very, very large paradigm shift for millions of people in America, millions of Americans. You only have to look at who is in the top leadership spots in America over multiple sectors of the general workforce industry. Now, why don't we look at the finance sector and Wall Street? You will find that an overwhelming number of these very powerful people share the exact same Jewish background. The same thing exists at the very top of the media. It is all run by Jewish people. The major Hollywood executives, the news division bosses, a lot of people in government positions are disproportionately represented by the same Jewish background. This pattern just continues deeply anywhere you look. They secure these very important advisory roles and politician roles, and then they get in the most critical cabinet positions in the government. We have also seen in academia, which are the people who shape the minds of our youth, the future of our nation.
What about the Irish,
as Jewish. The college deans, I don't want to edit the mistalks out. It sounds more real.
Look at the Irish.
But these college deans who dictate these educational standards and what we need to learn belong to this same background. We see this with CEOs that are running the largest tech companies and banks in the world.
These guys are so
the pattern
fucking
remains
stupid.
Very obvious everywhere you look in society. So people are starting to naturally wonder how this imbalance happens. Why is there so much overrepresentation? The answer is right in front of anyone who is willing to look at the truth. It's that simple. This level of influence is on ethnic networking and very strong in-group preference, tremendous in-group preference. In fact, I would say that that's the first thing that matters to them. They build these powerful networks over a very long time. This didn't just poof, one day it happened. This has been in the making for decades now, and it's to consolidate control. Their absolute top priority is having their own people above all other concerns. It's that simple. Now, we also have to discuss how these, not only are they in these top positions, but we also have to talk about these NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations, and how they also play into all of this strategy. These very powerful groups put millions of dollars into political campaigns. They use all their campaign cash and their lobbying money to bend politicians to their will. And it's not spoken about too often, but a lot of these large NGOs are also aggressively pushing for mass immigration into all the Western nations. A lot of these NGOs will demand completely open borders for America and all these European countries. They are a large instrumental part in the massive demographic shift that disadvantages the native populations of all these Western countries. But you only need to look at Israel to see the staggering hypocrisy that is at play here. They maintain their own exclusive ethno-state in the Middle East. They enforce an incredibly strict border to keep any outsiders away from their homeland. It is a police state. You will not get away with anything in Israel. If you're not supposed to be there, they will get you. They also guarantee a right of return off of motherhood or something like that is based entirely on bloodline and ethnic background. We don't have that in America. That would violate the Civil Rights Act, and you would probably be called racist and laughed out of the room or get beat up or shot or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty
messed up.
It's
okay for the other country to do that, who also wants our borders to be open but not theirs. They demand a strict set of rules for themselves to ensure their own survival. They have a completely different set of suicidal rules for every other nation on Earth. The hypocrisy is offensive, and
it's all suicide, man. What they're doing is suicidal. Okay, this kind of like this ethnic cleansing campaign that they're doing is suicidal. And I think you can clearly see why. Okay, it's because they're pissing off everyone. All of their neighbors hate them. They're famously fighting a seven-front war or whatever. Their fascism will spell their own demise. And it would do the same thing here if we did it. It would in any country.
It's so loud. It's at maximum volume. It's your earbuds in your ear. Turn the volume all the way up. That's what it is. They don't even attempt to hide this stuff anymore. Now, let's also look at Gaza, because that was really a big turning point for a lot of normies who weren't awake to any of this yet before it all happened. That specific part of land, that strip of land, is barely even considered a functional country by most other nations and people. They have no standing military, and they are mostly now trapped civilian populations. They can't even leave if they want to. It is true that Hamas and all of them, they do operate within those crowded civilian areas that are getting bombed. We've seen this with the Taliban and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They purposely hide within the civilian population. That is one of the tenets of guerrilla warfare, after all. But here's the difference here. The military response, Israel's response, that we are seeing is completely disproportionate to the threat level. They will put a massive bomb that completely destroys an entire neighborhood. They are strategically blowing up hospitals where there's sick and dying people, and they will also destroy all the critical infrastructure, like the electric stuff and the water supply and all that. And they are intentionally blocking the trucks full of food.
The goal, yeah, man, true. The goal is obvious. It's to kill them. They put them all in a little place, and then they start indiscriminately killing them. Okay, that's why it's a genocide. I think we're on the same page.
Water, stuff that you need to live.
Incredible.
Have all these essential supplies on. They're blocking them. There's people that were going to go get these supplies, and the snipers were shooting at them for fun. That's not made up. That's true. Imagine not having eaten for 4 or 5 days, maybe a week. Then there's a food package, and you go get it, and there's snipers blocking anyone from getting it. The death toll in Gaza is tens of thousands of civilians. The vast majority of these dead people are not Hamas fighters. They are kids. They are women. They're elderly. The whole entire area is just being completely flattened without any mercy or restraint. Don't confuse me for a free Palestine guy, because I'm definitely not a Hamas defender or anything like that. But let's be real here. These people have my sympathy, 1,000%. The entire world has seen these brutal video all over social media.
Sounds like you're free.
We have seen a bunch of just rubble all over the place. People are getting pulled out of piles of cement, and there's just a lot of human suffering. The establishment can't hide these anymore from the general public. Everybody has a phone nowadays. Everybody has a camera in their pockets that can press record.
Because I'm also
the morality mass that Israel's put, they're the only civilized country in the Middle East, is what they told us for a very long time. They're the only ones that follow democracy. That's why we're allies with them. Well, that's kind of just falling off now. The worst part of this reality is that the American taxpayer is paying for the entire bill for all these bombs. So the system, it just demands total compliance. And nobody is safe from these consequences when you are in defiance.
You get two choices instead of one.
Tucker Carlson is a perfect example of this dynamic and what's been going on and what happened to him before and after his interview. He is somebody who has played the establishment game, the GOP game, the politics game, the Fed boy game very well for a very long time. He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. He has gone through all of these socially acceptable by the Zionist bosses. He's fought all those battles. He was on TV for a very long time talking about what they dictated as acceptable. He stayed perfectly loyal to these people, these Zionists, and the massive conservative GOP system that demands complete and total loyalty to Israel. But everything changed when he dared to question the sacred foreign alliance. You instantly place yourself in the crosshairs the moment you speak about this kind of stuff. The IDF does not care about your impressive media resume. When you are in Israel, they're going to make sure you're not talking shit about them. They don't care about the massive size of your audience. They will just take you out of the airport, they will interrogate you, and they will throw you out like you're the trash, without a second thought. So that whole entire thing happening to him proves that their control over the political narrative must remain.
I think they still see themselves as untouchable. I think they do. And I think that's why there's like this brazen behavior. You know, to us it seems strange that they're doing this in this political climate. But I think they're still stuck in the past, you know?
Remain absolute. It cannot falter. It cannot change. They leave zero room for any kind of meaningful conversation. They just demand complete submission, even from their most loyal political allies. They were even giving Charlie Kirk a hard time. So this heavy-handed approach that they have, it's going to have political fallout for a very long time. And
That's
it's
one
already
way
starting
of putting it.
We have to start looking at the effect that they have on free speech here in America, as if it isn't already insane enough to say that a foreign country is dictating our free speech in our country. Israel constantly has marketed itself, and by also its GOP Shabbos, folk, as the only true democracy in the Middle East. They claim to share our fundamental values of liberty and justice, yet they treat a U.S. citizen like a criminal over a basic interview. Yet when a pedophile or a sex offender in the United States just gets extradited to Israel, they don't send them back, they let them live their lives free. That's not really a democracy, it's their ethno-state that matters more to them. This is a dangerous example for the rest of the world to follow if this stuff continues to happen. Other content creators are watching this happen, and they have extreme caution about it. There's why people don't talk about this stuff. It's why I will probably be banned eventually. I'm not really saying probably, it's just a matter of time for me, and I love talking to you guys. But anyways, these independent podcasters and these very serious journalists who have much more experience than I'm just a normal fucking guy. They are taking very careful notes of what's going on right now. Even elected politicians will think twice before they offer any public criticism of Israel. Is this not insane to you? They know the risk of being labeled as anti-Semitic by all the lobbying groups. This terrifies people with the threat of losing access to the financial system and being debanked, and rightfully so. They know that they could be permanently blacklisted back home from their jobs and anything to do with their industry if they speak out against this. We have watched this exact scenario destroy the careers of countless public figures, content creators, or what have you, over the years already. It's not a stretch here. We've already seen it. We have seen colleges get rid of very smart professors for stepping out of line, not just with Israel, with a bunch of others, just getting out of the established narrative, right? Also Israel, of course. We've seen honest reporters get completely smeared by this political blackmail machine. Now they are targeting massive names like Tucker Carlson to set an example. We should expect a massive wave of all of this to continue to happen throughout the media. It's no longer the bipartisan support for all these foreign wars. Iraq, maybe not a war, but 1967 USS Liberty, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran now, Syria, and all the limited strikes we did there. Everything. It's starting to crack under the pressure.
Both political parties they can't put you in jail. They can just ruin your life, take away your job, make you homeless. That's so free speech.
Marched in tandem for Israel regarding this issue for a very long time, since Israel was created. So the Democrats, they're having a little bit of an internal fracture over this right now. The progressives in the Democrat Party, they are constantly complaining about sending aid overseas. And these progressives will still fold and vote yes when the time comes, though. It's funny how that works. The Republicans are historically much worse, don't get me wrong, when it comes to this blind loyalty, so they're just as guilty. They aggressively wave foreign flags. We have seen the flag of Israel in some of these politicians' own offices, but not an American flag in sight. What does that tell you? They constantly call this dynamic with Israel an unbreakable alliance. This harsh treatment that Tucker Carlson has is potentially going to split the right wing wide open. We're already kind of seeing this now before this even happened. The nationalist crowd, the people like us, they just see this is just an extension of the corruption that the deep state has. It's pretty much the root of the problem at the end of the day. But we also have the old neocons and that neoconservative establishment that we had for such a long time that led us to these wars. They are digging their heels even harder into the dirt to protect the status quo. Well, I'm sorry to tell you. Well, actually, I'm happy to tell you, and I'm not sorry. But that is no longer going to happen. The status quo is over with, and we are done with it. The midterms are coming, and this divide is just only going to widen as time comes on. And the midterms, the Republicans are going to get their asses handed to them. They are not going to win any of this because they are digging in for Israel, the neoconservative slop. People like myself and mostly the viewers, these America First, we are nationalists. We are starting to get into politics, and we're getting into older age, even though I think voting is just not real anymore. We are still a massive block that is on the up and coming as a voter block, as a group of people that have a very powerful opinion about certain things, especially Israel. We are completely unafraid to call out these powerful lobbies directly, and that's a very, very big white pill. You should be happy that people are waking up to this stuff. That is something to be very proud of your fellow patriots for doing. The midterms, like I said, the Republicans are going to get ass blasted, and people like us are not going to get ass blasted because we have principles. The voters are demanding a true America First agenda, and these politicians are not giving it to them. But hold on, it doesn't end there. our credibility on the global stage, how the world views us, is taking a massive hit. It's a very big nosedive because of this unconditional, subservient, slave master dynamic with Israel. American politicians will constantly lecture all these other nations about upholding human rights. We harshly criticize countries like Russia and China for their domestic policies, and I'm not defending them whatsoever, but we turn around and we guarantee that a PDF file can just go to Israel from America and get away with it, and we pay for Israel to completely flatten everything. And our greatest ally is also detaining an American citizen for simply being a journalist. This makes our federal government look incredibly weak and entirely controlled, and it is. The surrounding nations, the Arab countries, I always say Arab. I don't know why I started doing that. I need to say it's Arab. I know it is, but no, seriously, back to what I'm saying. The surrounding Arab nations around Israel, they see all this and they call out all the hypocrisy all the time that we have, as well as Russia and China. Saudi Arabia is kind of stalling out with us. They don't really like dealing with us anymore. These talks that we have with all of them, they just don't really give a shit about us right now. This disastrous pullout from Afghanistan, we already looked like idiots going to Afghanistan. The pullout just made us look even more incompetent. This just shows the weakness that is on our already existing failures. Cool, we got Maduro out in like 2 hours. Base as fuck, that's cool. All right. But what have we really done to command respect? We still have a powerful military, sure, but we're only using it for Israel. We're not using it for our own. A lot of shit is not held up to a high standard according to the people in the military right now. They say it's a freak show. They say that they're making it stronger, like Pete Hegseth, but is that actually happening? I don't know. I'm not saying our military is embarrassing. I love our military and all of our people in it. It's not a dig on them. It's more of a dig at our incompetent government and incompetent leadership. We're seeing a lot of pushback against us and how aggressive we are to Iran. The world and all these other countries are demanding to know why we are bombing places and paying for these bombs if we aren't doing it ourselves to such a massive scale. And now the American taxpayer is demanding audits, Fort Knox gold reserves, all the billions of dollars we sent Israel. Where's this going and why are we doing this? We have the young conservatives.
I honestly, man, at this point, at this stage, I question every soldier. Right? Everybody in the military. What the fuck are y'all doing? Why? Why are you doing it? I mean, I know why. I know the answer. It's your job. You know, it's a paycheck. But like, look at the leadership in the military. Look at what they doing. Look at the government. Pedophile sex trafficking ring? What the hell, man? I mean,
the young nationalists, and this is all we talk about now.
I'm not saying that like everybody in the military is complicit. I'm just saying like I don't know, like what are y'all gonna do? Are you just gonna like keep working? Like what's going on, bro?
We want to talk about this special relationship with Israel. That's all we want to talk about. Because the numbers clearly indicated, like the polling numbers, I mean, they clearly indicate that an unconditional support with Israel is no longer feasible. It is not palpable anymore. We do not want it. This is permanently fading away. And you need to cut the knot now. You need to cut the tie now. You need to, we the American people, we need to sit down and we need to think very deeply about the historic, that is how much of an impact it is on us. The historic lives that brought us to this crisis that we live in. We have so many problems.
We need to decouple.
The people who created the Iraq disaster, the people who made it, the architects, the blueprint designers, the people who made that happen.
This is kind of crazy because, like, this is something that has changed with conservative politics because it used to be more in line with what the rich people wanted, what the capitalists wanted, and now they're just like, hey, like, let's not do any of that shit, okay? Which, actually, this is to be expected. This is what fascist movements of the past have done. Yeah. You know, it's kind of like how, you know, we argue, I was arguing with people about this the other day. The Nazis, the way they called themselves socialist, okay, the way that they like, the rhetoric that they use to gain power, gain institutional power, get elected, was like redistributive wealth, you know, like combating wealth inequality. Okay, now when they actually got power, they didn't do any of that shit, so keep that in mind, maybe.
We need to look at the Iraq disaster, and we have,
when you go to the voting booth.
They're just being completely exposed to the light of day. The neocons and all of that pushed that war using think tanks funded by highly motivated ethnic donors that said we need something of a second Pearl Harbor to ignite the American people to another war. True statement, by the way, is being exposed. The war in Afghanistan that happened for
Silverstein?
10, 15 years, 20 years of desert wars.
He went to work every day. That was the one day that he chose not to go.
We need to look at that. The aggressive sanctions on Iran that are designed to crush their economy.
Same thing with
not
Howard
that I'm defending them
Lutnick.
or anything, but how hard we're going on this specific country for a reason that doesn't really benefit us. Why are we doing all this?
Yo, that's so lucky.
Politicians do not care about nuclear programs here in America or Russia or China as much as they care about Iran's nuclear program, because then that would affect Israel. We watch billions of dollars, of our tax dollars. If you go look at your check, go get your pay stub out. I want you, if you don't ever look at it, I challenge you to get your pay stub out and just go look at it out of curiosity. Maybe you're younger and you younger viewer of mine, you don't really look at your paycheck. Regardless, go look at your paycheck and look at the federal taxes that are taken out. You are paying for it. It's not bullshit. You are actually paying for it. Not only that, is the Social Security is being taken out, the Medicare, Medicaid, whatever the hell. That's all. You're all paying for this stuff. We are funding Israel's very advanced fighter jets and their defensive missile systems, and they refuse to share that technology with us. Yes, they won't share their tech with us, even though we give them all this money to survive. We do this while our own military veterans sleep freezing on the ground, on the street. Our VA system, I will say, has gotten a lot better.
Security,
it was an issue for a very long time. Even during the Iraq and Afghanistan war, the VA was a big problem.
They're trying to raise that to 70, bro.
But was sending trillions for Israel's defense an issue? No, obviously not. This staggering overrepresentation in our institutions is absolutely not an accident. We see a tiny minority that is controlling the narrative of everything, especially in Hollywood. We see it in the news, we see it in tech, we see it in finance. They own TikTok, they own Meta, they own everything. We see international, non-governmental organizations destroying our immigration laws, or funding for it at least, while protecting Israel's foreign border from anybody else. This just shows a very highly coordinated effort.
I mean, there's a Zionist American, yeah.
People are awake to it. So, that is all for me today. It's more of a serious video, much longer than what I normally do. And I'm glad if you listen to this all the way. I very much so appreciate you sitting through and listening to all this.
You're welcome.
I'm shocked and blessed that people even decide to listen to me in the first place. I'm just some guy. I have a gift from God, is let me articulate myself in a decent manner, and I'm able to speak to people, and I'm very thankful for that. So I'm also thankful for you for spending your time to listen to this video. If you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps me out in the algorithm. If you think other people should see this, like and subscribe. It just helps in the algorithm, and make more content like this all the time. So I think this is one of my more longer pieces. It definitely is. But yeah. Patreon's $5 a month if you want to support the channel a little bit. Completely optional.
Fucking idiot.
That's just if you have